I call this regular board meeting of the Lakota Board of Education on September 12th, 2022 to order. Mr. Zink, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Adi?
Yes.
Ms. Bodie?
Yes.
Ms. Casper?
Here.
Ms. Schaefer?
Here.
Ms. O'Connor?
Here. Thank you. Mrs. Schaefer, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board will move to number 3 on the agenda. I'll take a motion to approve the agenda, please. So moved. Thank you, Mrs. Schaefer.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Adi. Mr. Zink?
Ms. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Adi?
Yes.
Ms. Bodie?
Yes.
Ms. Casper?
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor?
Yes. Board number 4 on the agenda. I'll take a motion to enter executive session for the purpose of considering the employment of a public employee and a conference with legal counsel concerning disputes that are the subject of pending or imminent court action.
So move.
Thank you, Mr. Adi.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Casper. Mr. Zink?
Mr. Adi?
Yes.
Ms. Casper?
Yes.
Ms. Bodie?
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer?
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor?
Yes. Board will adjourn to the downstairs conference room. The board met earlier in executive session for the purpose of considering the employment of a public employee and to conference with legal counsel concerning disputes that are the subject of pending or imminent court action. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Under board president comments, I do want to make a note that we have a calendar date that we need to address for the November meeting. We will be out of town for 11/14. I assume many of us are going to the OSBA conference. So we need to move that calendar date either to the week before or the week after, 11/7 or 11/21. Can I hear a motion to make that change?
So moved.
Second. Which date would you like to put forward?
I would say the one before, since the 21st is closer to the
11.
holidays.
November 7th?
Yes. Oh,
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Well, our motion, Mrs. Bodie, Mr. Adi, did you second that?
No, that's
Kelly did, I thought.
Mrs. Casper did. Okay, discussion.
There's just, so the board knows there's a facilities meeting scheduled for that night, so we'll have to adjust that too.
We do it before.
Whatever the will of the board is, but just letting you know.
Would you say that one more time, Mr. Miller?
There's a
That last-
facility, I'm sorry, there's a facilities meeting scheduled that night. I mean, it makes sense since we're all together anyway.
So putting our facilities committee meeting together with the regular board meeting is the proposal for November 7th. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Zink,
Mr. Bodie, or Ms. Bodie, sorry,
yes.
Ms. Casper,
yes.
Mr. Adi. Yes. Ms. Schaefer,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor.
Yes. Mr. Miller,
Since we have families and students here, I'll wait to speak on my comments later.
Mr. Zink,
A little bit later, you will have, I'll do a little presentation on the permanent appropriations for tonight. It's that time of the year, again, where we approve the permanent budget for compliance. And other than that, we've want to thank the treasurer's office team. We seem to have gotten off the ground with all of the kind of big ticket items for summer, and now we're kind of into the year. So it's always a big achievement. So thanks to the treasurer's office team.
thank you, Mr. Zink. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to number 6, the student and staff spotlight, the colors of Woodland and the incubator at Lakota West High School.
Good evening, everybody. So with 23 schools, nearly 2,000 staff members, and over 17,000 students, we have a lot to celebrate in Lakota. Because of this, our monthly student and staff spotlight has gotten a makeover this year. Each month, we're going to celebrate 4 different schools. I'll share a little bit from 3 schools, and then we'll invite 1 school to join us in person. So first up tonight on the screen is Lakota West High School. Students at both Lakota East and West can enroll in our entrepreneurial class called Incubator EDU, taught by Kevin Keene. Students form groups and tap into their creativity, not only creating the concept for a business, but working through the process to write a business plan, all while being mentored by a member of our business community. Each spring, the groups compete for seed money to launch their businesses. Last year, a group of students from Lakota West won our 2nd annual Incubator Pitch Night with their business plan matched up. The app pairs students with job opportunities. Armed with the win, the students who were mentored by Ronnie Pate of Centos were one of just 5 groups worldwide to be invited to the national pitch in Chicago. While they didn't get the top prize in Chicago, we couldn't be more proud of their accomplishment and can't wait to see where they go next. Next up, we're going over to Plains here. Marianne Sample is spicing things up in our math classes at Plains Junior School. Students are placed in random groups and collaborate to solve problems, challenging themselves by picking the difficulty level: mild, medium, spicy, or flaming hot Cheetos. The rules are simple. There's 1 marker per group, and it has to be passed around so everyone participates. Not only are the students testing their math skills and knowledge, they're also learning to work together. So over to Wyandotte Early Childhood School. Mr. Litchie and the staff of Wyandotte start each day with the intention of putting a smile on each and every face in the building, and it begins with live video announcements. Many days start off with a song, Mr. Litchie in costume, or both, and always include students. Mr. Litchi and the students often sing a song they call "How's Your Day Going to Be?" It's going to be awesome. I'm not going to sing it for you, but it's really cute. And the students also chime in to describe how their day will be. Recently, Mr. Litchi asked the question, why is mustard never on the lunch menu? They talked about how ketchup packets are almost always listed, but where is mustard? And that would be Mr. Litchi dressed up like mustard. The students share the day of the school. So for example, it's the 6th, 7th, or 8th day of school, and then they discuss how many days until the next multiple of 10. They always share about PACS, which is the positive behavior support at our early childhood schools. Throughout the last few weeks, the staff at Wyandotte has started the day focusing on building a classroom community and building relationships. Some examples of how the classes are achieving this can be seen on the screen. Mrs. Renning's class played a game so that the students could get to know each other. Mrs. Hitch's first graders are already off exploring the school's outdoor classroom and taking a close look at the garden. And Mrs. Hitch's students are also already working hard on building their reading skills, including practicing reading with their reading buddies. Now for tonight's in-person presentation. Recently, relationship building starts the first day of school at Woodland Elementary, not just on the students' first day, but also the staff's. Through a creative activity meant to help staff and students get to know each other better, the Colors of Woodland was born. Mr. Wise, Ms. Woodland's principal, is here along with instructional aide Sharon George and students Avery, Joseph, and Habibahan to share a bit more about this project.
They're shy, the kids are, not me, not Miss George. Hey, I am John Wise, the principal at Woodland Elementary, and we are so very proud to be here in front of you all and very happy to be in front of you all here this evening. Ms. Fuller mentioned relationships. There's two things that we find most important at Woodland each and every day, and that is our relationships and that is our diversity. And so we thrive and look for ways to highlight that in everything we do in math class, in PE, in the lunchroom, out at recess. Any opportunity we get to highlight one another's differences and to let each other know that they are welcome and accepted at our school, we try and do that. So Mrs. George, our champion for change, one of our champions for change, Miss Hudson here as well, Latoya, kind of came up with this activity and said, we want to highlight that from the get-go. We want to put it on our walls. We want to make sure that from second one, day one, week one, everybody knows wherever you're from, whatever your house looks like, what is important to you. So Mrs. George took that on and she does things to the 100th degree. So I'm going to let her speak a little bit on kind of her path and the kids as well.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. I think I don't want to make you stand the whole time. Thank you, guys. Okay. Superintendent Matt Miller and the members of the board and everyone here, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share and celebrate Woodland. I have been working as an instructional aide for the past 7 years at Woodland, and it is my second home. As a person of color, growing up all my life in India, if everyone at Woodland knows that I love to boast about my diversity. And there was a driving question that I kept asking myself when I became champion of change as part of the Lakota's diversity and inclusion, and that was, are we celebrating our families enough? And when I get into the building at Woodland, what John Weiss, our principal, chose for this year was the word joy. And that's what I feel every single day that I enter Woodland, is a feeling of joy. And that is because of the wonderful diversity that we have in our building. Okay, how do I work with this clicker? It's this. Yeah. So that's when in the summer, as I was racking my brains as to what we can do, I emailed Mr. Weiss and said, I have this plan. I have something called the Colors of Woodland. And that's what you see on the walls right there. So it involved making cultural and family flags that each kid represented. And it was not just their cultural diversity from different parts of the world, it's what they built as they lived in this country. And so Mr. Weiss first said, okay, before we bring it to the kids, let's do it with our staff. And that's what we did in one of our work days. And you see all the teachers there, they went back in time, I must tell you, to their 3rd grade and 5th grade classrooms with their color markers and their pencils, and they came out with wonderful colors of their own. And I even told them to step out of their box, out of their comfort box, and dress up in their traditional attire. Of course, I can boast with my traditional attire that I have from India, and I see Mrs. Oyako and Ms. Hudson and all our wonderful kids with their attire, but some of them do not have some attire of their own. So they really thought out of the box and came up with what they represent. So we did this with our kids in the classrooms, and it's mind-blowing. The stories that each flag has, and it does not stop there for Woodland. Because, by the way, please stay tuned in on Twitter, because we are going to do a parade of our traditional attire with all our kids, and it's going to be coming soon, right, Mr. Weiss? Yes. So what I did was not just, we did this, and also we sent a survey to all the kids and families, and we got back these responses, and I only got around 300 out of 600 responses, and out of that, I found out that these are the countries and peoples represented at Woodland. And isn't that shocking? Take a few seconds, because I have only 5 minutes. So I would have said take a minute, but no, it wouldn't be enough. So that's the countries that we represent. And that makes me, again, jump with joy. And the languages spoken at Woodland. And a few of them I had not even heard until I Googled where they are from. So isn't that such a pride for a building like Woodland to, yes, I see Mr. Adi already rejoicing because he found one of his. So this is what Woodland represents. But more than anything, our teachers, they continuously have to find ways to celebrate their global classrooms. So one of our teachers, Jen Greer, in 5th grade, has to translate her newsletter in 12 languages just in 5th grade. And so do teachers in 3rd and 4th and 6th. And this is what touched me most, because one of the parents who the newsletter was not even for sent her this email. It says, hey, Mrs. Gear, thanks for sharing these. I really appreciate seeing you share them in additional languages to fully include the diversity of languages and backgrounds represented in your classes. It's a small but significant step toward inclusion, and I'm thankful for teachers like you who take that extra step. She read this and she burst out in tears. And those were tears of joy again. And that's what Woodland is all about. And then we have a speech therapist who said she's going to try something different. And she brought about the colors of the world in one of her therapy sessions. And one of the kids, she told me, was jumped with excitement. She's like, I've got a marker which is the same color of my skin. That is so cool. And that was a fun story I thought I would share about, what Brittany shared with me. We also have to continuously in our global classrooms bring out that cultural pedagogy, how they have to connect content with cultures. It's not just enough to keep them in your library, but Vicki Copley brings it out into her reading sessions and reads the book, and the kids are transported into a different world, into a different culture. And that is something what education is all about, that I feel. That we have so many stories that we need to share and so many connections. In spite of all that differences that we have, we find those connections through these opportunities. Our hallways, this is a big project that Katie Woodruff and her husband, Brian Woodruff, Katie is our intervention specialist, and Woodland has these canvases all over our building. And these are biography cards that came into in our hands through Jen Greer, who uses this every day in her 5th grade classroom. And we thought, what a wonderful way that Mr. Weiss it was his idea. It's like we need to have them there. And whenever kids see that, that's what they see. They see, can you see yourself in these famous people? And encouraging them that they need to keep their dreams big. So Woodland is a community school, and I'm proud to call it a community school. And for that, we need all these valuable stakeholders, and nothing is possible without stakeholders. And one such stakeholder is Chantel Oyako, who's sitting right there. And I've known Chantel for the past 7 years, and she started as a parent, going out into the community and trying to build those connections and being a listening ear to so many of our families. And then she came into the building as a part-time person, part-time employee, and now she is full-time at Woodland. So Latoya and I are champions, and we want to celebrate Chantel for being that person who is a helping hand and a listening ear to many of our families. So this is Woodland for you, and the colors of Woodland is not going to stop here. Hopefully we will continue celebrating our cultures and families. So we have 3 representatives today. We have our 3rd grade representative, Avery Swanson, who's going to come and share something about her Black African-American culture and what I just don't know what she's gonna say. She's got all years of you, Avery, so you can come. You can come. Where do you want to stand here? Great. Hey.
We're not here.
Yeah, just say. So what is so special about your family culture that you want to share with us, Avery?
Well, my great grandma, she always puts ointment on her forehead and always prays.
She puts an oil on your forehead and always prays. Why is that so special to you?
Because I think that guides me through my life and tells me that I'm always going to be safe no matter what.
Is there anything else you want to share about your family fun times that you have?
Well, I see my grandparents a lot.
All right. And what is that you're wearing?
Readers become leaders.
Oh, readers become leaders, and you love to read, don't you?
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you so much, Avery. Habiba Khan represents 2 countries, Uzbekistan and America. And what I love about Habiba Khan is she is not shy to be a fashionista every single day. She dresses up no matter what, and she loves to show her colors. So I want Habiba Khan to share something about her culture.
Hello, everyone. I'm from Uzbekistan. In Uzbekistan, there were a lot of significant philosophers. Some of them are Ibn Sina, Al-Khwarizmi, Amir Timur, and Abu Rayhan al-Biruni and Jalaluddin. They helped us a lot For example, Ibn Sina was a founder of medicines for all kinds of sicknesses. So he found out the sickness about chickenpox, how you can cure people by not getting the chickenpox. And another one is, and also from the 12th century and 17th century, Europeans studied his books. Another example of a person is Al-Khwarizmi. He was founder of numerals and concept of algebra. Without him, we would have to write in word forms for numbers. Like 1, we had to spell O-N-E, and 2, T-W-O. So yeah, places in Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan was declared independent from the Soviet Union in August 31, 1991. The capital of Uzbekistan is Tashkent, where I was born. Tashkent is largest city in Asia, also a great place with bunch of attractions at every corner. Another famous place is Samarkand. Also, Samarkand is very important to Silk Road due its location as halfway stop. They traded wine, dried fresh fruits, cotton, silk, rice, and different kinds of material such as leather. Also, people settled in Samarkand in the 8th century. It is a tourist attraction. I'm proud of my family's heritage because as I went through the best parts of Uzbekistan, those were my reasons. Uzbekistan is very important to me because they are part of who I am, and I am very proud of it.
Wow,
Oh, very pretty.
that's great.
Hey, we're going to end our presentation with Joseph Abunafa. Joseph, come on, bud. The first day I met him, he became a sensation in my family. He's an Instagram sensation.
Wow.
But I'm going to give the opportunity for Joseph to introduce himself. And when he is in performance, I would love for everyone to stand up and enjoy, because he is going to tell you to start giving a beat and maybe dance. Yes, of course. Okay, so Joseph, where are you from? Where did you grow up for a couple of years at least?
My name is Joseph, and I'm from Jordan. So
That's it.
my drumming skills,
Okay.
yes, yes, from my dad. So he, when I was little, like 3 years old, he had a drum, and then he put me on the drum. He held my hands, and then he let me drum, and then I got used to it, and then I got better.
Wow. Wow. Pretty.
Yeah. Opposite.
There you go.
Okay.
Ah, good.
Take your time, Joseph, and tell us what you want us to do.
How proud his dad is.
I'm a dancer, you know.
Not you, Mr. David. I've seen him dance.
That's interesting.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Great, thank you.
So
Awesome to hear.
wait a minute. Could we have you all come back up to the mic for a moment?
We went on them.
Everybody come up to the mic just so that the board can maybe ask questions or say something.
Yes.
And I have a question for Mr. Miller first. So, Mr. Miller, how many languages do we speak in Lakota? Do our
I
families?
believe we're at 54.
54 languages.
Correct.
You are such terrific ambassadors for your cultural heritage, but also for our school district, representing the richness of the tapestry that makes up Lakota. It's very cool to see what you do. Joseph, I guarantee you, we've never had dancing in a board meeting that I can remember. Which maybe is not a bad thing when you see Mr. D really get going. So. We're very appreciative of you all being here, and what a wonderful program to help our entire community understand the richness within our community. Board questions, comments?
Very, very impressive. You're all very impressive. And I think this speaks to what we are in Lakota and the diversity and what Ms. Moore has done with the champions in all of our buildings. We do have 54 languages and many cultures, and they should all be, we should do this at all buildings. They should all be celebrated. And I think you guys are a great testament to the diversity and the equity and the inclusion department that we have here in Lakota and how it represents every single one of our students. So great job. We're very proud.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say, Mrs. George, thank you for your championing this and always your extremely positive energy and enthusiasm for every project you take on and for giving every child we have the tools to succeed and feel welcome. So thank you. Thank you for teaching us about some of your heritage. And since we all live in the United States of America, what is something that you each like about living in the United States of America?
Enjoying it.
You like the food? Yeah.
Friends and family, and also my school. Acceptance.
And I think I go with Avery too. I've enjoyed the journey that I've had here and the acceptance and the welcoming community that Lakota is first, because that's what I was always with my kids, and of course the extended community that we have here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One nation under God.
Yes, one nation under God.
Sturdy.
All right. I think I'm the last but not the least. I want to say that if anybody understands culture and anybody understands diversity, it is me. I'm very proud to say that. I want to tell you also that I'm very proud to see you all out here today. Nobody should tell you cannot be anything. What I enjoy about America is it's a land of freedom and a land of opportunity. As you can see, I don't have to, I'm not telling anybody's story. I'm sitting right here. I was not born here. For me to be accepted, even sitting here on the board is a huge, huge testament that this is the greatest country in the world. So nobody should tell you you cannot be anything. You can be anything you dream to be. So don't set limit on yourself and keep going. I speak 5 languages. And that is why sometimes when I'm speaking English, some of the other languages are trying to come in. So people say, what did he just say? I repeat it. So thank you so much for displaying what Lakota stands for. And I appreciate you all. Thank you.
We've gotten pretty good at speaking Isaac, so we're pretty good at understanding where he's going. Joseph, one of the things that I love for you is that in America, you can play your drum anytime you want to. And that's pretty cool. I also want to say, wearing a mustard packet outfit is above and beyond the call of duty, so impressed by that as well. Can we take a picture with all of you?
Everybody but Mr. Wise, because he has a Steelers tie on.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Matt. There's just an extra one here.
That was terrific. We'll give our kids a moment to clear the room so they can go do homework. And if those who are in the back would like to take a seat, they're welcome to. Mr. Miller, is that Woodland's dog?
Yes. I don't remember.
That's always a terrific part of our meetings. We'll move to number 7, excuse me, the public comment section, our first public comment section. As a reminder, the public participation guidelines that we follow, as stated in the Lakota Local School District Board of Education Policy 0169.1, the board values public expression on educational issues. The Board of Education also values an efficient and orderly meeting. It is a business meeting for us, and therefore public participation is governed by the following rules as outlined in our policies. We ask our speakers to register, and so I have a list of those that have registered to speak tonight, along with their names. When you come to the mic, please state your name. You do not need to state your address. Each statement made by a participant is limited to 3 minutes. We'll have a timer on our screen up here. And at the point that you see it go to yellow, please wrap up your comments so that when it turns red, you are finished. Each statement must be directed to the presiding officer. No person may address or question board members individually. To protect employees' rights, the board doesn't hear complaints about named specific individuals in public session. In the event that there is a complaint, please contact your building principal, the superintendent, the treasurer, or the board. Please be very mindful of these rules, that it is a business meeting of the board, and we don't want anyone to forfeit their time at the microphone, so please be respectful. If these guidelines are violated, there'll be a warning, and then we'll ask that you sit down and forfeit the rest of your time. So please be respectful. We'd like everybody to be able to speak that wants to speak tonight. So I will name the first couple of people. I'll ask to make this most efficient and to make sure we can get as many people in as possible. When I say your name, please go ahead and line up on the wall so that we're ready to move and aren't waiting for people to move forward. So Mrs. Greenler, you are up first. Mrs. Jackson, you'll follow. Mrs. Steinbrink, you'll be after that. Would you please? Yes, thank you. I'm not showing it. When you're ready, Mrs. Greenler.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me? Is it on? Yes.
We can hear you.
My name's Penelope Greenler. Lakota School District is a highly successful district of excellence. We have one of the highest concentrations of top-ranked public schools in Ohio. We also have the highest graduation rate, the highest overall rank, the highest math efficiency, the highest reading language and language arts proficiency. Kudos to the hardworking, thoughtful teachers for preparing lesson plans and choosing resources for our young scholars that resulted in high test scores. Kudos to the superintendent for leading the district with trust and integrity that resulted in high test scores. Kudos to the board members who approved the curriculum and trusted the superintendent and teachers to do their job that resulted in high test scores. The good news is that the overwhelming majority of parents feel good about the child's public school. their teachers and the education that they are receiving. They agree our teachers have done their best under the circumstances around the pandemic. They agree my child's school has handled the pandemic well. They agree that my child's school does a good job of keeping me informed about curriculum, including potentially controversial topics. So public school parents like you and me represent a majority. Under the current rules of our democracy, majorities are a big problem for board members and politicians who cling to and promote the big lie. So the plan has been set in motion to seize control of the political apparatus, capable of overturning the majority vote with a hyper-localized precinct strategy that is going to go through the school boards. In other words, CRT audits are not about your child's education. It's about politics and saving the big lie. We need to stop pandering to the incredibly small majority that's being funded by the infrastructure to appear larger and to appear to have more well-founded concerns than they do. We are the majority, and we support our excellent Lakota public schools who promise to educate all children. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Greenler. Mrs. Jackson follows, Mrs. Steinbrink after that, and Mrs. Dosenbeck will follow that. When you're ready.
Thank you. I'm here regarding the CRT audit on the agenda for tonight. Before you vote on the audit, I want to remind you that the proposed audit has evolved from unfounded accusations, despite active recruiting for such material by board members at political meetings. Additionally, board members have not been transparent and shared their supposed examples with the public despite numerous requests. Alternatively, families currently attending Lakota have used facts to request smaller class size and more support for classrooms and extracurriculars. I compared the price of the audit at $82,500 on the agenda tonight to the staff on the personnel reports, specifically tonight's and July 7th. I found that we can fund a junior high math teacher salary for an entire year with 78% of the price of the audit. Or we can fund the annual salary of a first grade teacher at 67% of the price of the audit. Or we can fund the annual salary of 2 additional instructional aides in the personnel report this evening, a junior high vocal director, a junior high assistant coach, a high school coach, high school color guard director, and still have $600 left, which by the way would cover 79% of the high school band assistant director. That is 6 people who impact the student experience, 6 people whose efforts are the reason we can boast about higher enrollment, but more importantly, support how the board meeting started, celebrating the different cultures in our district. What will the audit give us? The CRT audit will give us 5 inches of a binder full of paper. Can we afford the delusion? Yes. Is it fiscally responsible to buy the delusion? No. 4 of you stated you became board members to better Lakota for the students. I urge you to remember your purpose for being on the board when deciding your vote, because kids want support, not a binder on Mr. Coney's bookshelf.
Thank you, Mrs. Jackson. Mrs. Steinbrink follows, Mrs. Dawsonbeck and Mrs. Peterson. When you're ready.
Good evening.
Take a moment.
Good evening, Melissa Steinbrink. I just had a real short comment. I know the students aren't here now, but that student showcase could not have come at a better time. The diversity of Lakota is beautiful and should be celebrated as such rather than suppressed. Our community is a perfect example of a melting pot. That term was coined in 1908, and it's so appropriate now, and even more so. And I'd like to see Lakota schools stay that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Dosenbeck, Mrs. Peterson, Mrs. Hughes. When you're ready.
Hi, I'm Betty Dawson-Back. Just off the cuff, this is not written down, but looking at the agenda, and I saw that the CRT organization that was going to do the audit was picked. but I know nothing about the criteria you set to pick the organization. It really would help the people and the taxpayers of the Lakota district to know what you have in mind when you're picking them. I took a quick look tonight before the meeting to look into the company. I'm not happy with a lot of the things that I saw, and I wish you would take sincere consideration in looking into it. I think that most people know our feelings that we want to have basic education, take emotion out of things. Let's teach the children what they need to go on in life. So I hope when you consider voting, you will vote no.
Thank you, Mrs. Dussenbeck. Mrs. Peterson, Mrs. Hughes, and Mrs. Williams.
Good evening. I'm Charis Peterson, and I am also concerned about the company that you intend to use for the audit. I was looking it up too, and it emphasizes the whole child, and I realize that the Department of Education is on this, totally on this, and SEL, social emotional learning. If you look at the diagram for the whole child, the family is on the outer edge, which is to me a really bad sign. Parents are supposed to be raising their children, not the school. And there are many, many things that we could say about that. It's just something that we do not want to see. We want children, of course, naturally to get, to be able to be heard, and diversity is important as far as a culture is being assimilated, but this should be a given. We don't have to emphasize this. Academics are the most important thing that we see that our children are lacking, and our test scores are not that great. So this needs to be changed, and we need to have our curriculum transparent. We need to have it online, and I don't know when that's going to happen. I never hear about this, that it's coming. And so we need real transparency. So I'm very upset about the idea that you would use this company to audit, looking at what they have on here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Peterson. Mrs. Hughes and Mrs. Williams will follow.
My name is Diane Hughes. I live and have lived in Liberty Township for 30 years. My children are grown, so I am here to advocate for someone else's child and for our community at large. As a self-proclaimed public figure, the superintendent of Lakota should be fired because he is admitted to fantasizing about drugging, molesting,
Mrs. Hughes,
reporting sexual abuse
Mrs. Hughes,
of children.
Mrs. Hughes, I'm going to ask you to refrain from talking about specific employees, but happy to listen to your concerns otherwise.
I won't talk about a specific employee
you.
anymore. Whether this behavior gets followed through or not is irrelevant. Simply having such thoughts disqualifies anyone from having any job that even remotely has to do with children. In case you aren't aware, pedophiles and child abusers commonly choose career paths. It's public comment. I am not talking about
Mrs. Hughes.
anyone. I am making this is about child safety, and I'm making a comment.
Audience, it's not helping.
They
Thank you.
choose career paths.
Mrs. Hughes,
that put
this
them
is not a
in
part of our
contact with
agenda.
minors.
Thank you for sharing with us.
Safety,
I'm
child
going to ask
safety.
you to sit down, please. Please, just to sit down, not to be removed. Thank you.
I think that
Thank you, ma'am.
folks have said what you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mrs. Williams. Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jessica Williams. And I found it interesting that people were worried about the company being used for the audit, because when I looked at the quote, I noticed that the definition that is going to be utilized for, at least for that particular quote, was from the Heritage Foundation, which is a self-proclaimed conservative bias. So I do have some concerns that we would be utilizing a definition in that way. I feel like I need to respond to the person who said we were lacking academics and that they want to remove emotion out of things so that our kids can learn more. Having looked for jobs recently in the engineering field, they were not most concerned with my engineering skills. They were not giving me a test on calculus or science or physics in order to get a job. What they did give me was a test on my emotional intelligence. They gave me a test on my social emotional learning that we are teaching kids today. Those things are what gets you a job now. And maybe people haven't looked for jobs in a really long time, but you will literally be given almost like a personality test in order to get a corporate job today. So the work that you guys are doing with our kids to learn how to get along, to learn how to work as a team, to learn those emotional intelligence that you need to work in today's current environment is very important. And I 100% support it. I also 100% support the diversity, equity, and inclusion program that you have, because you know what I get at work too? Diversity, equity, and inclusion training from every angle. And it's fantastic. We learn about each other's cultures, just like these kids were presenting things from their cultures today. I get to do that at work. How cool is that? I get to learn about other people's cultures. We get to have like salsa day. It's fantastic. And starting at this age and learning about these things is so important to be able to have those corporate jobs of the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams. I would really value the audience not clapping. I understand there's a lot of emotion in the room, but let's all try to be respectful of that, all right? I have a statement from the board that I'd like to share. On August 22nd, 2022, the Board of Education received a complaint from a member of the community regarding Superintendent Matt Miller. The materials submitted to the board did not contain any direct evidence of misconduct or that Mr. Miller presented a threat to students or to staff. Moreover, the complaint stated that this issue had already been submitted to law enforcement. Because there were no credible allegations against Mr. Miller, the board waited for law enforcement to complete their investigation. On Friday, September 9th, at the end of the workday, the Board of Education received notice that the Butler County Sheriff's Office completed an investigation regarding the superintendent. The Sheriff's Office determined that there was no probable cause to initiate criminal charges. To date, the board has not received any credible evidence of wrongdoing. However, in order to execute due diligence and with the support of the superintendent, a neutral party with no ties to Lakota has begun a review of the facts to confirm that the superintendent is not a threat to students or to staff. The board will make no additional comments regarding the complaint until after the investigation is concluded.
I would like to clarify that the board did
I'm
not
still
vote on this
speaking.
statement.
I'm
And this
still
is a representation of Linda
Mrs.
O'Connor.
Bodie, you are out of order. Audience, we can close the meeting, but I really, really don't want to do that. Please. Mr. Adi, are you in support of that statement?
The statement you just read.
Yes.
I believe in the rule of law, and I believe that we have people that are trained and as specialized in doing their job. And furthermore, we got this report, and this same group that we would have contacted if a complaint had come to us are the ones that are saying at this point there's nothing. So we're not stopping at this because children are very important to us, in as much as possible, even the superintendent. So we have to make sure we get to the bottom of it and the truth before we start using emotions to do anything else. And that is why we're going to conduct an investigation and to make sure every side is covered. We are here for both the teachers, the administration, and the students. So we have to protect every side, including the students. So I agree with it.
You support the
I
statement?
support the statement.
Thank you. Mrs. Casper.
That we're not making any further comments. So I assume that I'm not making any further comments, but I do support what we have done.
Thank you. Mrs. Schaefer.
I support the statement and would also like to remind people that people are innocent until proven guilty, and not to take what you read in different venues as fact.
And I would like to state that the police have confirmed that at the very least, our superintendent, Matt Miller, has sexual desires that he acts on in ways that are corrupting of others and puts himself and others in psychological and physical danger. The morals on display and the irresponsible actions associated with them reveal character traits that are not reconcilable with those necessary to fulfill the responsibilities and duties of the district superintendent.
Can we take a break?
I'm going to suggest, excuse me, folks, we will clear the room if we need to. It's still a board meeting. Please let us work what we need to up here. Mrs. Bodie, this is not a disciplinary hearing. Board, would you like,
I said mine.
board, would you like to go into executive session again to discuss this issue, which would be the appropriate place for it?
No, I think we've done that.
Ms. Dirty, anything further? All right, we will move on to our agenda.
But I think a warning that we will clear the room if necessary.
We'll move to number 8 on the agenda for board updates. Mrs. Schaefer, Butler Tech.
We've talked a lot about the construction at the Natural Science Center. It is still moving along. We have run into some supply issues. They are still hoping to be able to have students at that location the end of October, but it's getting a little questionable. I've handed out one of the Butler Tech Student Success newsletters, in addition to a report by the Ohio Department of Education on career technical education and expanding career technical education in Ohio. John Graff, the superintendent of Butler Tech, has been working closely as the president of the Career Tech Organization for Ohio and drafting this drafting these hopes for the future of career tech and working with our legislature. I can never say that right. So for our legislative priorities, career tech education increases graduation rates and provides skill sets for students, especially as an alternative pathway. So some of the areas that they would like to see expanded are every student being required to take at least one career technical education course. And again, Lakota does an excellent job already with that. Most of our kids, either in junior high or high school, are allowed or are taking advantage of career tech in our programs when they're offered here on site, as well as on site at Butler Tech. Number 2, high school students should be able to access Ohio Technical Center programs with state funding provided. And this is looking at basically expanding adult career tech options within our high school, almost like a college credit plus option for our kids. And then the final look that they're trying to expand is to have career tech education teachers recognizing they're a valuable asset to produce tomorrow's workforce, and modifying teacher licensure procedures to allow career tech education districts to provide specialized training and certification for career tech teachers. And again, this is recognizing that perhaps the teacher working in the welding lab, while they need to have some education courses, may not need the same full requirement that a typical teacher would need. They're going to need more specialized career technical education. And so there might be a balance there in those requirements. So those are some of the priorities that Butler Tech is currently working on. And with that, I will conclude my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Schaefer. Legislative, Mr. Miller, Mr. Zink.
I don't have anything to add at this time.
I just have a few that came from a legal update last week. We, once again, ODE is loosening a little bit the substitute rules for teachers just because there's still a need for that. So that still will be in place this year. The computer science requirements are also going to be extended into 7/12 of this year. And then there's been a lot of conversation about the dyslexia screening implementation. That is now, unfortunately, if you have not heard, been delayed to 23-24 school year, not this school year. Couple other quick items. Parents of students entering 9th grade this year can now opt out if they want to of the ACT and SAT. And then the last one probably might have some impact on our facilities planning. So if you have, and when I say that, I'm talking about probably after 10, 12 years, but if you have an unused school facility, it's been changed to include any school building that has used for direct academic instruction for less than 60% of what the building was designed for. So for example, if a district has a building that serves some students, but 60% of it is less than 60% of it is used for academics, and that could be a potential for somebody else to come in and use that facility, a different type of school. So something we're watching.
Any questions?
So does that mean like the central office would potentially be?
No, because that would really
Because
doesn't.
that's academics.
Correct.
Okay.
But it would be a school building. I could see it having some impact on maybe some rural school districts. I might have some older buildings and facilities that they're not using. So it may be something to keep in the back of our mind when we're talking facilities with Chris and the architect.
So it's just an unused facility, not.
Yeah, but it has to be more than 60% for academics for us to keep it. Less than that might be an issue. I'm not sure what they would do,
Like,
gyms and things like that, but
yeah.
just something to watch.
We're still.
I'm not
required
sure what
to
the
teach-
intent was.
We're still required to teach health curriculum, so I would.
Correct.
Gym and.
Yep. Just something to think about when we have our facilities and we're talking about decommissioning. Just wanted to put on your radar.
Any further questions? I did want to share with the board some upcoming dates so that you're aware and have them on your calendars. The OSBA Southwest Region Fall Conference will be October 13th. That's at the Greene County Career Center in Xenia. A reminder that the OSBA Full State Conference is going to be November 13th and 5th through the 15th. And I think we'll probably be planning legislative visits while we're up there as a part of that as well. And there's a monthly town hall coming up for OSBA. They do at the end of September, the 27th, and that's 5:30 to 6:30. They use different topics for each one of those. And again, to refer you to, there are several other training opportunities available for all board members, and you're welcome to go to the website and find that. Mrs. Casper, community engagement. I know we've had a lot of conversation lately and look like we're set for the year. Would you like to share that?
Yes, so Mrs. Fuller, I'm gonna make you remind me, is she still here, of when we have a couple of master facility conversations coming up. October 19th, am I making that up? Very good. October 19th at the Liberty Township trustee meeting. So we will have a master's facility presentation prior to their meeting at 5 o'clock. And we don't have any other ones on the books, do we? Okay. Thank you. We did have an In the Loop with the Soup on Wednesday, which was pretty well attended at the library. We have a community conversation tomorrow night on safety, 6:30 in this building.
In this room?
Pardon?
In this room?
In this room, in this building.
What time?
6:30 to
6:30.
8. If you're attending, I would ask you to think about what kind of like the direction that would like to go is think about your school, your individual school and your safety and your children and some of the things. And, you know, some of the things that you think we could do better, some of the things you think that we're doing that are well. So we will be directed by Mr. Steck again. DPC tomorrow.
Yes.
Wednesday.
No,
Wednesday.
not Wednesday. Wednesday. I've lost all track of time.
And that's a combined meeting.
And that's a president's and DPC council. So that's Wednesday. I think that we have a lot. If I missed anything.
No, I don't think so. Are there any questions on community engagement?
We do have some, we will get out to the board some more community conversations as we get them scheduled. And I think we're working with our
facilitator to schedule in the next couple of weeks or the next couple of months. We can try to do 1 or 2 a month.
Can we think about having a community conversation around critical race theory? I think we should have an open dialogue with the community on what that is.
I think we'll get there. I think when we get there, I think there's something that's in the book.
I think that would fall into a curriculum community
Yes,
conversation.
yes,
Which I think that
We actually do have curriculum on the agenda, so it
yes.
could be
We have
part of
it on
that
the agenda, but
conversation.
just hold on for a minute.
It will be later in the year. I don't think we have a date for that
we don't
yet.
have a date yet. We're still looking at the schedule. And
I look forward to dating that.
yeah,
We all do.
we have a couple of that we're trying to schedule.
So the question I have is on the trustee meeting. Is it open to the public?
It's,
Okay.
it's prior to their meeting. So
Mhm.
it's the same master facility plan that we've been presenting out in all the community. So yes, anybody's welcome and it's prior to their meeting and then you can stay for their meeting.
Yeah, I asked,
Yeah.
make sure that the information is clear to the community. If you have questions, you have concern, go there and express them. That's how we gather the information that help us to make the decision. That's why.
Yeah, we give them we do the presentation and we ask for the feedback via the website. Yeah. But yeah, it's before their meeting. So come along and then stay for the trustee meeting.
Well, and it's an opportunity to connect with your trustees
Yeah.
too, so you're welcome to be there for that reason as well.
And they're really pretty facility.
Anything further on community engagement? Hearing nothing, we'll move to administrative reports. Mr. Miller?
I'm going to ask Mr. Coney to come forward. We're going to talk about the ASCD proposal for the CRT audit. I do want to clarify after some comments this evening that we did put out proposals with specifically 4 companies that we've mentioned before. 1 did not get back to us, 2 turned us down. And this was the only company that said they would do something close to what we were looking for. Mr. Coney and his team have talked to ASCD since this was proposed. So I'll turn it over to him to kind of give a latest update on it.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. I appreciate the opportunity and just a little bit of feedback on, or kind of recap from how we got here. In May, it was decided that we should go forward and have a curriculum audit that focuses just on CRT. We gathered feedback from the Board of Education. We took that, started to compile some general areas that we wanted to focus on and what that would look like. We started to research companies. There are not a lot of companies out there who have this as a specialty or as an audit function that they do. Well, when we looked at curriculum audits and companies that do that, that kind of narrowed our field to that, researched down to 4 of those, selected those, contacted them, opened it up to other people in a typical RFP process. That RFP was open from August 10th to August 31st. As Mr. Miller said, we got 1 company that did not respond to us, 2 said thank you, but no thank you. And we received a proposal from 1 company, ASCD. ASCD is the Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development. They're probably the largest curriculum development organization in the country. The proposal has been shared with you all. We did a debrief with our team, with their team, to understand some, clarifying questions, understand what the process looks like. We felt pretty comfortable with their knowledge and expertise in that area. As was referenced earlier tonight, this is a political topic, so we tried to understand any political leanings or anything else. It was referenced the definition that we had to use because we did not have a clarification from the board on the definition for critical race theory or indoctrination. We did decide to choose the definition from the Heritage Foundation, supposing it would be probably a conservative or probably an acceptable understanding of a definition to be able to go forward with. We've done reference checks and we bring them to the board for your approval. You've seen the proposal. It is for a total of $82,500. In talking with them, one of their first actions that they would like is to be able to sit with the board and to have an understanding of what that is that they're looking for as they go through that and what counts as evidence and what doesn't and what places they would look. So We've done that work in our proposal as we put it together, our RFP, what we put together. We did state this board meeting date as a time for approval. Happy to take any questions that you might have or ideas that you might have.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, further comments?
I don't think so. I think we'll open up the questions that you might have about it or alternatives.
Board questions for Mr. Coney or Mr. Miller?
I guess I have some concern that I feel like regardless of what this audit finds, it's not going to satisfy parties that are interested. So with the scope of work, I mean, again, I have some experience in audit in my career, not that I enjoyed it at all, but I did do it. And just, I feel like there's no way for us to get adequate samples when we've been harping all year for all parents to bring us forward information, how we're going to be able to get more information through this audit than we've already gotten. So do you see any way that we're going to get more information from this audit than we've gotten from the call that we've had for an entire year to bring evidence forward?
I don't know. That's a question for me to answer necessarily. I am here to facilitate that. And I do think that anytime you go through an audit process, you're going to find out more information. You can be better informed. You can make better decisions. That's ultimately what an audit is for. I will say that at least one of the firms that did not put in a proposal raised that same concern, said that they typically, when they're coming in to look at auditing systems or processes or curriculum, things that are in front of them, they said they did not feel like they had the expertise necessarily to come in and look for something that may or may not exist. So that was a concern that they had. I don't know if that's not my opinion, but that's theirs. Just wanted to share that with the board.
Other questions?
I am concerned with the price tag of $82,500. I don't feel that we need to waste the money on searching for critical race theory when we have a diversity program and we teach SEL, both of which are critical race theory. We also saw an example of DEI this evening when we come from amazing backgrounds and differences, but we are all in the United States of America and one nation under God, and we should focus on what brings us together, not what divides us.
Mrs. Bodie, I'd ask you to direct your comments to the
And we
rest of
need
the
to
board.
continue to do.
Mrs. Bodie, one moment, please. Audience, I understand there are very strong emotions. Please let the board meeting continue without interruption, without participation. Thank you.
And I believe we need to continue inspections in the halls and classrooms of the school to ensure accountability and to put together a policy that bans the teaching of critical race theory. It would be a waste of resource to do otherwise.
Anything further?
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Casper?
Yeah, I'm conflicted because my problem is the same. What are they looking for? How are they going to determine what CRT is? Because we as a board can't agree what CRT is. So I don't understand for $82,000 how we're going to be able to determine if we're teaching CRT or not when we can't even agree on a board what CRT is. I mean, as we all know, the definition of CRT is a law school class, and we can't, as a board, can't even agree. I don't believe that social emotional learning and diversity, equity, inclusion is CRT. Mrs. Bodie does believe that. So if we can't agree, I don't know how we're going to direct a company to look for something like that. I don't know.
Anything further?
No.
Thank you. Ms. Cardine?
Sorry.
CRT is very, very important for me. I want to know if there's CRT in our school district or not. And I know the definition of CRT. And I've given my own definition and what we should look for. Because as a person of color that moved into this school district many years ago, my kids went through this school district. They were not born here. But there are many things I heard that are going on now that were not at that time. Like telling a kid, you can't make it because of where you come from, or America is, whatever it is, it's no more the greatest country in the world. You disrespect the flag, you disrespect so many things that I know made America great is no longer respected. If it is here in our school district, this is the place we should focus on educating our kids. We should focus on mathematics, English, language art, science, history, teach the good and the bad of history. But when other people bring things that are not necessarily education purpose, and some people are called oppressed, some are oppressors, all these kind of things, if it is in our school system, I want to make sure it doesn't happen here. And that is why I am on this board. Every kid should know if Isaac was born in Nigeria, is now on the board. That is the America that I know, the American dream. So there shouldn't be any limit. Nobody should be treated different. So that is my own definition of CRT, and I want to make sure it's not in our school district so that every kid should be able to succeed. We should be encouraging our kids that, hey, doesn't matter, you can do it. That's all I'm about. So I also believe that that price tag is too high to spend on this, and I have a plan. When the time comes, I'm going to propose my plan. Thank you.
So board, this is our opportunity to ask Mr. Caney if there are any further questions. Are there any further questions of our administration on this topic prior to the board vote, which is coming a little bit later?
I actually have one question for Mr. Coney. Are you seeing anywhere in our curriculum thus far from what you've seen where our teachers are teaching our kids that they are oppressors or oppressed?
I have not seen that.
Thank you.
So to answer that, when we get that established, we have it in the book. So if anything happens in the class, see, the thing is, parents and teachers should only be teachers, not parents. I train my kids. Whenever somebody tells my kid anything different from what I told them, they come back and tell me, I say, no, my dad didn't tell me that. How many of you hear me quote my dad all the time? So we parents should be parents, and we should be involved in the education of our children. So if we find out those things are not there, we know it's not in the curriculum. Now we have the curriculum in the system published. Now, any teacher that teach anything that is not there, parents know, I've seen it, and why are you teaching this? Then we can narrow it down and take care of that.
Mr. D's points are well taken, and I agree with much of what he said.
I am
going to ask that we go ahead and move on in our agenda. We will be discussing this further when we take a motion to vote on this. So I'm going to move us along on our agenda. Mr. Caney, thank you for your assistance. Mr. Miller, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's move on to Mr. Zink, the permanent appropriation review, please.
Okay, as I mentioned earlier in the evening, this is the time of year when we have to do the permanent appropriations. So what exactly is permanent appropriations? Well, this is the board's budget that they set for the district, but it's actually a little bit more than that. This is our ability to actually pay expenditures. This is what gives us the ability to pay salaries, pay our bills, our invoices, all of that. So at the June board meeting, we approved what they call the temporary appropriations. This gives us the ability to start the year, but then we have to come back and have this permanent appropriation set by the 1st of October or 3 months later. Another thing to keep in mind, permanent appropriations can be modified at any time. This is just a compliance issue that we have to get this done. But at any point in the year, if we see that our budget is shifting, we do have the ability to come back. So how exactly do we do this? We set the permanent appropriations at the fund level, and then we go one step more, which is to the object level. This is what kind of goes in line with our 5-year forecast, which is why that's important. That's kind of, we'll have that in November, but it's kind of our roadmap for how we're going to spend our general funds. So we do the funds that way. Another thing worth adding is this process really starts in March, April, where we meet as a executive team. with all of the building principals by grade band to see kind of what needs they might have, if they have any big projects, and that kind of gives us the ideas of how to set this budget. As well as that, we do give a per pupil allocation so that all the buildings are being treated equitably and everybody kind of has equal amounts. So that's very important. Here you'll see the recap that we have by fund. Obviously, our general fund is the largest, making up 72% of the overall budget. And then as you go down, we have the 002, that would be the debt service. That's very important because tax dollars are also associated there, as well as our permanent improvement fund. And then as you go down into the 400 series, that would be our state grants. 500s are our federal grants. So this is just how it's kind of broken down. In this chart, you're going to see how the funds go down the side and across the top showing the objects. So that just kind of shows that breakout where the majority of our budget is generally wrapped around the salaries and benefits. Depending on what fund it is, that would also change. And in this pie chart, what you're going to see is this is our appropriation at the fund level. So general fund making up the biggest section of that, bond retirement, permanent improvement, really close behind. Here we have the appropriations by object, and this is of all funds. So of all of the funds, you can see the salaries are always going to be the biggest, with benefits second, purchase services being close, and third, with debt service making up a big portion as well. And then this is when we just show the general fund only. As you can see, the salary portion is much higher in the general fund than it is in the overall budget. So salaries, benefits, that's just how this is broken down. And here, this is a slide that's kind of breaking out those the COVID revenues that we received. Another big part to keep in mind is if everybody remembers back in fiscal year 20, when the state gave us the reduction, at the very top, you're going to see what the effect of that reduction is. So that is of actual money that we have now, totaled up and lost due to that. And down the side is kind of showing where the replacement of that was. But these funds in the bottom section, they're going to be running out. The longest any of them can go is to 24. And the state reduction is still there. So this is just something to keep in mind, just a side note. So the big items in this budget to consider. Right now, our inflation from last year was showing, the CPI had it at 7%. This budget is showing just a slight amount under a 4% increase overall. So we are doing better than the consumer price index is, but we do have some big ticket items that are on the horizon. Our healthcare costs are coming up. We're going to be meeting with an insurance committee on Wednesday to go over that and see where we're going to come in. These are things that will impact the forecast that we'll be going over in November. Another thing is we didn't see initially the big impact of inflation and supplies, but it does appear that this year is coming in supplies. So we're really seeing a big increase there. This is also where our fuel's purchased. As everybody knows, routes are down, the fuel is up. So this is one of the places where we're going to see a big impact. Another item to mention is the general fund transfer. These transfers, they're going into the athletic funds, club cards, so that we can keep a fee for the students lower, but encourage more kids to participate in the clubs. We want to see everybody participate as best we can. Also with this is marching band and winter guard. These things also go in to contribute toward the district waivers that we have or the family caps. So, if a family, once they hit a certain amount, then they're capped, and then this is where that's made up. Another item is the school fees. We have been on a recommended waive of the school fees ever since we had received the ESSER funds. That is going to happen again this year. It is anticipated this probably would be the last year for that. So it would be worth noting that that is an impact to all of our families that have students in the district. How are we fiscally responsible? Well, we ended the year with a balanced budget once again in fiscal year 22. We had $107.5 million in carryover. This represents 206 days of cash. Our policy, the policy maintains a 90-day, so we're at 7 months. So we're doing very well there. Also, I remember early on when I started here, the debates about the rainy day fund, putting that into policy, and now we're at 7 million there. And at the October board meeting, we'll also be discussing what that transfer will look like for how we ended the year last year, which is how the policy works. So that's something, these are things that really we need to celebrate as a district. So finally, in summary, the permanent appropriations, this is something that we approve in September every year due to approving a temporary appropriation in June for the upcoming year. Modifications happen throughout the year. This will really be looked at when we get to the forecast. And as the last bullet point talks about, the November forecast is where we will really take the deeper dive into this at the general fund level. So that's all I have.
Any questions for Mr. Zink? And again, we will be having a lot more conversation about this as we do our 5-year forecast.
Good job on your first presentation.
Thank you. I always get
Awesome.
nervous.
I have a question on the, if you go back the slide, the school fees waived.
Yes.
Okay. So the revenue is going to be between 500 and 600,000. Is that what we're going to?
That's what we would normally collect in a year that we had school fees. So that's the amount that would come in with the exception of district waiver. So on top of that, that means we still have those expenses regardless. So this is just the revenue that would come in there.
Anything further? Thank you, Mr. Zink.
Thank you.
And you did do a fine job on your first presentation. Board will move to action item 10, the motion to approve the CRT audit. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. And is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. Now is the time. Mrs. Bodie, would you like to start?
I mean, I stand by what I said earlier. I also am concerned that this organization is a left-wing advocate for critical race theory. And I gave a very good definition of what critical race theory was. And it's really simple, but I also am concerned we have not been able to ask these questions, which I had stated at the beginning of the year, basically. And again, we have not decided as a board what critical race theory is. We haven't decided whether it is good or bad. So we need to decide that. And then we can hire an organization or a company that falls in line with what we think. So if we think that critical race theory, or as a board, we think that critical race theory is good, then this is the company we would probably want to hire. But we haven't come to that conclusion. And we haven't asked the questions, is your company familiar with critical race theory? Which actually they said they weren't because they couldn't come up with a definition. How do you define critical race theory? Has your company adopted critical race theory for any of its tenants or any programs associated with the philosophy? Does your company have an opinion on the usefulness of critical race theory or any of the tenants or programs associated with the philosophy and education K through 12? Is it good or bad? And then there are more. You can go to my webpage at Bodie for Lakota if you would like to, on Facebook, if you would like to read the rest of this. But again, I stand by my statement. We have critical race theory in our schools. We have a diversity program and we have SEL. Those are both critical race theory. Okay, stating as fact, I'm sorry, may I speak next? Of course. Stating as fact that social emotional learning And any diversity work is SEL is not something that I can sign off on or agree with. So I would appreciate if we could determine that that is not necessarily agreed upon fact, settled fact. Also, again, I also have reservations about doing an audit and the time and commitment, not only the cost of this audit, but the time and hours it will take of our staff, where I would prefer to actually have our staff working on moving our educational programs forward and having kids be prepared for their future, rather than looking back and being on a hunt for something that they've already been on a hunt for a year and haven't been able to find, other than an ACT question that I'm aware of. So I would like us to focus on the portrait of a graduate within our curriculum department that we put together with our business community that looks at enrollment, enlistment, employment, and entrepreneurship, and getting our kids ready for their future, rather than on trying to prove that something that doesn't necessarily exist doesn't exist, which is a very hard tenet to prove. That's why people are innocent until proven guilty. So I'll leave my comments there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think we can do this audit at this time. I don't, because as Mrs. Bodie stated, she believes that critical race theory, she stands by her comment, and I stand by mine, that diversity, equity, inclusion, and social emotional learning isn't critical race theory. So because we can't agree up here, it seems like we're spending $82,000 to disagree, and I think that's a bad use of our taxpayer dollars.
Mr. Adi?
If I may recall, somebody stood up in a public comment and said that CRT is taught in colleges. It's very simple. What is the CRT that is taught in colleges? Then we can bring it all the way down to the school, to our school district to see, is it taught in our school district? Because we're not denying that there's CRT. I understand that it's taught in college, right? If we bring that down to our school district, we know whether it's there or not. I'm interested in knowing if it is there, but I don't support spending $82,500 for that audit, and that is why I have a proposal. I don't know when to do that yet.
Are you wanting to amend the motion?
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to make a motion that we have an internal audit. We are 5 on the board. Each person nominate a community member to be a part of that audit, so that we go through our curriculum and rest this once and for all. Do we have CRT in our school district, or we don't have CRT in our school district? Because I know there has been rumor around the country, there has been uproar. I don't know if we have it in our school district. I've not seen it. I've been asking people, if you have found anything, bring it out. I've not found any. The ones I know they operate in the whole country. So let's have an audit, internal audit done. Pick a person of your choice. We audit our curriculum and make sure our curriculum is focused on mathematics, language art, science, and history, period. So that we focus on educating our kids. This will now go to bed. If any teacher is bringing politics into the class, or bringing anything that brings division or is distracting kids, that person is responsible, because it's not in our curriculum. And then parents, listen to your kids. Look at their homework. Be involved in the education of your kids. If somebody is telling your kid something that is not what you believe in, come to us or come to the superintendent or go to the principal. Why are you teaching my kid this? Period. So I'm making a motion that we do
You are amending the motion.
I'm amending the motion.
That we will do an internal audit.
Yes.
With a community committee, with each member of the board selecting a community member to be a part of that, and the chair will second that motion. So we vote on the amendment first.
Any
So
discussion?
discussion on the amended motion. So I'll start with that. The 82,000 is, as was pointed out earlier, that's a staff member, several staff members, depending on which direction we went, and I can't support the cost of that. However, I do believe that the issue of CRT has been circulating in our district now for well over a year. We have created opportunities for parents to be able to report those issues through our online website where pieces can be uploaded. We do have opportunities for teacher or parents that are concerned to go directly to their administrators. And I think that's very important. Mr. Adine has talked about the fact that we need to be involved as parents in understanding what our children are being taught and if there are concerns to raise those. However, I still believe that we need to have a formal process to look at this and to make sure that it's done, because frankly, it's been a distraction from other things we need to be dealing with. If it's in our classrooms and it's inappropriate, then we'll address that. But until then, we'll continue to go back and forth on whether it's here or not. I do like the fact of a community member representing each board member. And I think that I would add to that, that I think a timeline should guide that work, that it should not be years and months of that, because this will be work that's put onto our curriculum department. I would expect those 5 people to be able to agree, whether it's a majority of that group or unanimously would be even better, but to agree to a definition which leads that work forward. So discussion of the amended motion, which is an internal audit with a community committee appointed by the board.
Can I amend that amendment? So that would be a divide amendment.
You can do an amendment. And then we would
Yes.
vote back down.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and amend the amendment.
I would like to have 2 people from each person represented.
Now you would look for a second.
Is there a second to that? So the amendment to the amendment will die. But thank you for offering that.
I think when it becomes a crowd, it becomes a problem.
It's died, so we won't discuss it further. We are now discussing the amended motion, which is an internal audit with a community committee that will provide oversight, the review the results, and if there are things that come forward from our community, they would be part of that review process. I do think it's important for our community to feel that their values are going to be represented within our curriculum. So discussion, any further discussion on the amended motion?
I would like to say that while we may not have a direct cost of $82,000, if we once again sidetrack our curriculum department to be focused on this audit and working with this 5 people, and who knows, we don't, again, have a scope of work. We don't know how far that's going to go. I would much rather our curriculum department have their time spent in the next cyber academy and the next incubator opportunity rather than doing this. And again, as the only sitting board member who has a current student, our parents have access and can see what's happening. They can speak with their students. We already have a vehicle internally for parents to go through to audit this curriculum. So to me, this is a redundant process to what we're already doing and what we already have to look at our curriculum within our buildings. Because again, I can get on, I can look at my students' information, I can check with him when he comes home. You were out on Tuesday, that wasn't that one assignment that you were working on, that chemistry lab. He's like, yep, got that in, it hasn't been graded yet. I mean, I can see all that as a parent. So when we're having these concerns, it's often with people who don't have access because they're not parents, but I am comfortable with our mechanisms that we already have without spending additional resource time, which is also money, on this particular situation.
Thank you, Mrs. Schaefer. Mrs. Casper.
I think in the long run, this is going to cost the district more money, because I don't know, again, how we're going to get to a definition, how the 5 people are going to get to a definition. And
I think it could be a lot more money in the long run. I don't know how are you picking the 5 people? What are the criteria for each board member's person? Are there criteria? It seems like there's a lot more that goes into this that in the long run may end up costing the district more.
Mr. D, anything further?
Yes, there's a concern. So the community is concerned. Let's put this to bed. That is why I think it is necessary. Because I want to make sure that we are focusing on the right thing without any distraction.
Mrs. Betty, you had a final comment?
Yes, so I know, Julie, you said that parents have the ability to see what is being taught. However, on the first day of school, when I was visiting Hopewell, the parents who are dropping off their kindergartners were not allowed in the building because of safety reasons.
Correct.
What are these safety reasons? Are parents dangerous? Are school board members dangerous?
Potentially.
I think we need to ask ourselves, what safety concerns
Mrs.
do we
Brody, I'm not
have?
sure this is relevant to our CRT audit
because
conversation.
here-
So
the
bring it
thing
back to the
is-
agenda, please.
The thing is, the parents are not allowed in the schools. Even a school board member is not allowed in the school system. You're trying to block out a school board member. So you're also trying to block out, like, parents were not allowed to walk their children to their class on the first day of kindergarten. That's a huge concern. And I went into that building and I know what I saw. So that's a huge concern. The other thing, excuse me. The other thing is, we need to, as board members, continue to do inspections in the hallways and the classrooms with, on top of this.
Mrs. Bodie, we're under discussion of a motion.
This is
Board,
about the-
please.
And
So
then
do you have any further comments on the amended motion?
I do.
Let's get to them, please.
I think that we still have more discussion to talk about what this looks like, but I am voting to start discussing a committee for auditing the curriculum.
That's what I propose.
Yeah,
So you're just.
this isn't a final draft. This is the plan. We're going to draft what this looks like on paper and then possibly vote on that. And what access they have, when are the best times for this?
You're already discussing the process. Let's get it concluded, agreed on, then we can go to the process.
That's what I'm saying, that this is what we are voting on. We're not voting on the process. We're
So the
voting on
motion itself, the amended motion is to appoint a committee of 5, 1 for each board member. There'll be an internal audit. It will be a structured guide timeline. And yes, the work will be spelled out more clearly, I would assume, through a process.
I
Do you have any
honestly-
further questions or comments?
I honestly would prefer 2 people. I think that would be a
You've
little bit
made
better.
your amendment to the amendment and it died for lack of a second.
But I'm just putting that out there.
Died for lack of a second, so we won't discuss it further.
Well, I would like to discuss it.
I'm not sure I'm comfortable voting on when we don't have a process. I mean, that's my issue, is that I'm not saying that I object to this. We don't have a process. We're going to vote on doing this, and then we're going to be sidetracked for who knows how long, tying up our curriculum department with the process and our board process might. The discussion on the process could take who knows how long. Like, could I? Okay, I'll do it afterwards. Never mind. I have a question.
Is there any further discussion on the amended motion?
So right now, the vote is on amending the motion.
Right.
Okay.
Without further discussion. Mr. Zink?
Mr. Adi,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor,
Yes.
Ms. Bodie,
Yes.
Ms. Casper,
No.
Ms. Schaefer,
No.
Thank you, board. And now we need a vote on the original motion.
correct.
All right. The original motion was to, I'm sorry, the name of the organization again.
Now you're voting on the amended motion
That was just
We-
to
that's what we
approve
just-
the amendment.
to approve the amended motion. You voted to amend it. Now we're voting to
Okay,
approve
now we're
that
going to
or
vote to
not
approve
approve
the
that.
amendment.
Correct.
So we're voting once again. Please call the roll.
Ms. Schaefer,
No.
Ms. Casper,
No.
Mr. Adi,
Yes.
Ms. Bodie, or I'm sorry, Ms. O'Connor,
Yes.
Ms. Bodie.
Can you please clarify what I'm voting on?
Go ahead, Mr. Zink.
This is voting to have an internal audit of CRT with one
Via
community,
committee or via
via
this?
committee with one community person.
Yes.
Mr. Zink, anything further? Are we
What's
done?
that?
I see you looking it over. Anything further?
Nope, I believe we're good.
All right. Thank you, board. We're going to move on to 11 treasurer's recommendations, action items. A, approve minutes from August 22nd, 2022. B, monthly board reports, August 2022, and approve the fiscal year 23 permanent appropriations. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Schaefer. The chair will second. Discussion? Anyone? Nope. Mr. D, anything? Hearing no further discussion?
Ms. Schaefer,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Adi,
Yes.
Ms. Bodie,
Yes.
Ms. Casper.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes, and thank you, Mr. Zink, for your work on that. 12, the superintendent recommendations, action items. A, approve personnel items. B, approve field trips. And C, approve donations. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Thank you, Mrs. Schaefer. Do I have a second?
That was me.
Mr. Adi, I believe I heard you first.
Yeah.
Don't throw anything. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Zink?
Ms. Casper,
Yes.
Mr. Adi,
Yes.
Ms. Bodie,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor.
Yes. We move to our second portion of public comment. And I am not going to read the public participation rules again, but I'm going to ask you to please be mindful of our guidelines. We would like everyone to have the chance to speak that has signed up to speak, so please be respectful. And that includes our audience members. I understand that there is disagreement in the room. In fact, to some extent, vehement disagreement. But please be respectful to everyone that has gotten up to speak. We'll start with Mrs. Cameron, followed by Mrs. Superior, followed by Ms. Wyatter. And again, please pay attention to the 3 minutes when you see the yellow. Please wrap up your comments. Go ahead, Mrs. Cameron.
Heather Cameron. First, I'd like to ask if any board members consider the presentation from the children at Woodland to be CRT. And I'd also like to say that true evidence-based research uses measurable, objective data, not subjective data, aka opinions from random community members. I would still like to know why 3 school board members attended a Westchester Tea Party meeting where school board issues were discussed and video was edited. I have friends who have attempted to schedule meetings with a board member regarding this issue only to have their emails ignored. Also, I fear that delaying of the master facilities plan may be for political reasons instead of putting our students first. Is it being delayed over fear of a bond levy being on the same ballot as one's reelection? Lastly, I've heard from educators at some of our oldest buildings who complain of only one set of bathrooms for 600 students, sinks that don't work, windowless rooms, and leaking roofs. The cost of maintaining these 30 to 40-year-old buildings will most likely supersede the cost of implementing these master facility plans. Knowing that a bond levy could take multiple elections to pass, why delay it further than necessary? I would also like to say that the slanderous accusations that we have heard are abhorrent, but not surprising due to where they have originated. I suggest that these self-appointed investigators stick with solving Where's Waldo books. My workplace also emphasizes cultural competence and social emotional learning. Our latest documentation program includes areas to address gender pronouns. This is very common in healthcare. Healthcare companies, as well as Fortune 500 companies, are implementing these things, you can either get on the train or be run over by it. You can't stop progress. Thank you.
I'm gonna pause. Can I pause a minute? Can I say something?
No.
I'm really distracted.
Please stop our time for a moment.
I did
Mr.
stop.
Zink.
Could I just ask for my own personal benefit? I'm having trouble hearing anybody at the mic because of all the conversations in the audience. Could we try to not speak to each other in the audience? Because I'm having a hard time listening to the people at the microphone. I mean, it might just be me, but that's just you. Well, to that extent.
Nonetheless, let us be
Nonetheless,
respectful to our speakers, please. Mrs. Superior.
Hello, I'm Rachel Zapirian. I live in Liberty Township and I am a current parent of 2 daughters that are in high school. They've gone to Lakota their whole education. And we, up until recently, have been really proud to be Lakota parents. Today, the meeting started off wonderfully. It had students in the room and it was really all about students and family. I know I am a Palestinian American, very proud of it. And to hear just the diverse community that we have at our schools, I want to volunteer to help really bring that showcase to more of our community as well, because I think we all have something to celebrate. I also was very inspired by the mission statement at Lakota. I'm just going to read it here. At Lakota, everything we do is designed to provide a future-ready, student-centered learning experience for every single child. I love that. I love that it's focused on the future, not the past of what people were educated before. And as we look at demographic shifts, we know that cultural diversity is the future of the US. I'm also a professional, and at my work, as mentioned before, diversity and inclusion is part of what we do. It's how we do business because people get a sense of belonging. And belonging is something that every student should feel as they come into the room. So I know we talk a lot about curriculum, and tonight the field trips were supposed to be on the agenda. So I wanted to speak a little bit about field trips. And I love that you brought up the 4 E's, because that was really what attracted me to Lakota, is that you're getting people ready for enrollment, employment, enlistment, and entrepreneurship. In my house, we have a mixture of all of that. Field trips provide great learning, experience-based learning opportunities. And I know over the last few years, we haven't been able to do those as a community. And I hope you guys are thinking about bringing them back. We hear a lot about what should be taught from the books, and there's nothing like learning through experience. So things like the Camp Kern experience was something that my kids really learned: belonging, confidence, equality, and inclusion. My one daughter got to go to DC and learn all about American politics. The Air Force Museum is an amazing place to learn about aerospace engineering. The Freedom Center, we're very lucky to have the Freedom Center to learn about the impact of slavery in our past, but also modern slavery that still exists. And also the Cincinnati Zoo and the Civic Garden Center to help teach kids about sustainability and the importance of respecting our planet. So I hope that we can get back on track and start thinking about the kids again instead of all of these rumors and agendas.
Thank you, Mrs. Superior. Mrs. Wyatter is up, Mrs. Steinbrink, Mrs. Wells, and then Mrs. Dosenbeck. Whenever you're ready.
Good evening. First and foremost, thank you. Sitting through the meeting, thank you for what you do. Thank you for your commitment to our community and to our schools. Thank you. I'd like to say just a few things. One is that I believe, and just in response to some of the comments tonight, whole child development is the responsibility of the family. Success in the SOLs is responsibility of the schools. In a previous meeting, there was a request, another item here. In a previous meeting, there was a request for consideration of exit surveys for personnel, and just wanted to maybe bring that up and again, remind and ask for consideration of that best practices in the school district. Also want to acknowledge and recognize that in our nation and in our state, there has definitely been a lowering of the standards of learning, and part of the evidence we even see and heard tonight with the pause in the requirement for the ACT and the SAT for students. But I want to end on a positive note and appreciate the report from the Butler Tech and strengthening the preparation, skill, and pathway to career success and the efforts being made to that end for our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Whiter. Steinbrink is up, Ms. Wells follows, Ms. Dosenbeck, and then Mr. Patrick. Whenever you're ready.
Hi again. I just want to point out that I'm a parent who actually has kids enrolled in Lakota schools, so I know exactly what they're learning. I look at their schoolwork every day. I look at their grades as soon as they're posted, so I can keep an eye on that. I attend the open houses, I attend curriculum nights, and I attend conferences. I have the email addresses for every single teacher my students have. And most importantly, I know what they're doing in school because I talk to them every single day. If a board member is questioning the curriculum, I highly suggest that that board member enroll their kids in the schools, and they will also have the same access that I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wells. Ms. Dosenbeck, you'll be up next. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jenna Wells, and I'm one of the founding members of Lakota Cares. For those that are not yet aware of who we are a welcoming group for all families that live within the Lakota School District that want to connect or learn more with families that have a child with disabilities or learning differences. This can be for families that have a formal diagnosis with an IEP or 504, but also for families that are still learning about their child and their individual needs. I wanted to tell you how thankful we are
It's okay.
You might wonder why I get emotional, because as a parent of a child with Down syndrome, we don't always get support. And I want to tell you how important it is for us to receive the support that we've received from the board. And we are so appreciative. We thank Matt Miller for coming forward and asking questions and wanting to learn. The board members are attending events, asking questions, opening conversations. We're a newly formed group. We have a lot of work to do. But I wanted to tell you a little bit of a rundown of what we have done. We're holding our first meet and greet. It's coming up. We're very excited to hold that at Heritage Elementary. They opened their playground up for us. There's multiple board members attending, and we're so thankful for that too. We also had the lovely Terry Durr coming, who is the Lakota parent mentor. And we also have the amazing Leah Aguilar from Lodi. We are very, very thankful. We have conversations discussing, thinking, including our Lakota Cares community. Our members have brainstormed ideas called Lakota Recommends. For example, Lakota recommends back to school ideas, field day accommodations, alternative consequences to missed recesses. We hope these will be used by others that may be looking for new ideas on inclusion. Third, we are excited to see the communication boards added to various playgrounds around the district. Our Lakota Cares board member Maureen has worked very hard on that. Our membership is growing, connections and relationships are forming. I'm sorry, I'm out of time. I see that. I'll stop. Again, I just wanted to thank you. I have so much more to say, but it really does mean a lot to us. So thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Wells. And you're welcome back anytime. Mr. Patrick is up. Ms. Bredesteggy is next, and Bridget McGuire will follow that. Mr. Patrick.
Randy Patrick. Most engaged parents want their school board to obtain parental input for policy making and program implementation. Furthermore, they want school programs to incorporate parental consent in matters impacting their children's health and moral compass. Failure to satisfy these desires usually does not end well. Consider what happened in Loudoun County, Virginia. Why Loudoun County? It is the epicenter of the cultural war raging in K-12 education. Amidst a statewide controversy over the teaching of critical race theory, the Loudoun County School Board proposed a policy to require teachers to refer to students in gender transition using pronouns inconsistent with their biological sex. When a county teacher spoke at a board meeting in opposition to the proposed policy, he was fired. He filed a lawsuit against the board and regained his job, plus his right to express his view on the board's transgender policy. Even before this event, gender fluid boys were permitted to use girls' bathrooms. When a gender fluid boy raped a female in one of these bathrooms, his discipline entailed him being allowed to attend another school in the county. There, he assaulted another girl. The first girl's parents were outraged and complained to the school board. Groups of parents who had already been protesting CRT and the transgender policy joined in the complaint at a board meeting. When voices were raised, law enforcement was summoned, and the outraged father was dragged out of the meeting. The National School Board Association responded to this incident by calling upon the Biden administration to investigate these protesting parents as potential perpetrators of domestic terrorism. The county situation was inflamed when a former Virginia governor, who was running for a non-consecutive second term, opined that the parents should leave school operations to the school board. The people of Virginia reacted by denying the former governor, who was far ahead in the polls up to this point, a second term. I hope that Lakota will learn from this story the following, which should help it avoid major legal problems. One, when denied their rights, parents will take legal action against school boards. Across America, parents are suing to stop schools from assisting their children in gender transitions without parental knowledge and consent. Two, many parents do not want teachers to function as their kids' psychologists under social emotional learning programs. Three, parents want school boards to focus on academic achievement, period. Four, during my 30+ years of management experience in 10 governmental and business operations, trust was never used as the means of ensuring that an employee was fulfilling assigned duties. Frequent monitoring, record keeping, and reporting on performance on assigned responsibilities are crucial to effective organizational operations. Thank you for your.
Thank you, Mr. Patrick. Kate Bredesteggy, Bridget McGuire, Christy Ertl, and Jessica Williams. Go ahead.
So I genuinely had wanted to say thank you for a great start to the school year. I know I was going to speak last time, but the time ran out. I am so happy that we got to hear about all of the wonderful diversity in our district and in our community. And I would applaud all of those children and staff members who stood up earlier and showed us how wonderful and diverse this community is and why things like diversity, equity, and inclusion are so important. I'm actually part of a DEI committee at 2 different jobs I've held before. It's very prevalent in the workplace. It is everywhere. It's not going anywhere. This is part of life now. I would also like to request again that we do not arm Lakota staff. I would like to request again that the board formally reject the House Bill 616, Don't Say Gay bill. If certain people are unaware of why safety is an important issue for anyone entering schools, need I remind everyone that we've had already, I can't even remember how many school shootings this year. Uvalde, Texas, just a few months ago, we lost almost 20 people because someone slipped in a door when they shouldn't have and had a weapon. And I would also like to say that slander and unfounded lies have no place in this community. When someone is out to deal damage over a personal vendetta, and anyone who would try to destroy and damage someone's life and career over unfounded, disgusting accusations and falsehoods should have no place in this community. We've had numerous community members, educators, up into including a literal expert, a college professor of critical race theory, explain what CRT is and actual definitions of what it is, not what it makes you feel that it is, and not using it as a catch-all for things you do not like. The United States is a great country because it is based on freedom of and from religion. You can choose to worship whatever God or lack thereof that you choose to in this country. This is not a Christian nation. It is a nation full of diverse backgrounds, ethnicities, and just family structures all around. And you can take your pick of any local private religious school that you choose to send your children to if that's what you would like them to have in their education. Public education is meant for everyone of all inclusivities, all diversities, all backgrounds, all religious and family structured units. So I would really, really also like to know what kind of parameters we're having for these community members who are going to be included in this curriculum audit, because I can personally go see all of my kids. I have 3 children in this district. I can see all of their assignments, talk to any of their teachers anytime that I want to. And I know what is in our school, and whatever this mishmash definition of CRT that's been thrown around as supposedly there isn't there. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. McGuire. Mrs. Erdl follows, and Mrs. Williams after that. I don't see any McGuire. Mrs. McGuire, are you here? Mrs. Erdl, you're up. Is Mr. Horn still here? Mr. Horn, I think I missed you on the first opportunity. You were on a separate sheet, so I apologize for that. So would you please line up as well, sir? Mrs. Erdl.
Yes. Good evening, Christy Erdl, Liberty Township. I will just start by saying we are a Christian nation, and this country was founded on godly principles and godly morals. Thank you.
One moment, Mrs. Erdl. Audience, we need to be respectful. You've done a great job so far. Let's continue, please.
That is my opinion. Thank you for allowing me to speak that. I will say I have more questions tonight than I have answers. And as a parent, I want to understand why, if we are putting anyone in our district in any position of authority under an investigation, why are there not parameters in place that a leave is on record until that is finished? I think it is a valid question that every parent in this community deserves an answer from. We are a nation where, thankfully, we are innocent until proven guilty. But if we are going to allow an investigation, if we feel that is warranted, right, why are we not putting parameters in place to protect everyone involved? I have stood at this microphone for 2 years. I have continued to advocate for children, and I will do that. So tonight, my question is, why is there not a leave in place until an investigation is completed? We are a nation that is founded on morality. We are under a code of ethics in this district, and I would like to understand why that is not a part of this conversation. I am not here to advocate if anyone is guilty, not guilty. That is not my place, and that is not why I'm at this microphone. But I will say, if there are allegations and an investigation internally or externally, it makes logical sense that any individual under that circumstance is put on leave for the safety and protection of children. I will also call a spade a spade. If we are going to say that a board member cannot go into schools to take photographs, and I'm not saying that I agree with that, but if we know that someone is under an investigation, why are we allowing that individual to go into schools and take pictures of children and post them on social media? It is a valid question. Again, not an admission of guilt. It is a question as a parent that I demand answers to. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Erdl. Mrs. Williams? Okay. Mr. Horn, it looks like you're up.
Thank you. My name is Chuck Horn. I grew up in Kettering, Ohio, where we had great public schools. I moved to Westchester 30 years ago because we have great public schools. I've listened to a lot of the comments tonight. Some of them I agree with, some of them I really don't. But I'm running for state rep. And probably the main reason is because I stand for great public schools. And after some of the things I've seen tonight, I'm thinking maybe I should run for state. Thank you very much.
We'd welcome you to the arena, Mr. Horn.
Think twice about
Mrs. Williams?
Jessica Williams, again. I am very concerned about this community committee that's going to research CRT. So I have a few questions. Basically, if you want to know the definition of CRT, as some of you have said tonight, perhaps go take a grad school class or go get a master's in it, and then you will learn exactly what it is, because that's where it's being taught, not here. There was a comment made about that they wanted the community values to be represented, and I would love a definition of what that is, because I have a feeling maybe our values may not align exactly the same. We are not a religious school, just to be clear. I would love to know what the criteria is for these community members. I want to know what education level you're going to have as their minimum requirement, what time commitment is going to be involved for these people. You are taking what was going to cost $80,000 from professionals and put that back on the community. My work did that recently. It didn't go well. I'll just tell you that. Are they going to have access to children? What kind of background checks are they going to have to go through? Will they have to live in the community? Are they parents? How many are parents? I would hope most of them would be parents. What kind of expertise do they have to have? What experience do they have to have in auditing? I know personally, I have no experience in how to run an audit, how to do an audit, how to be a part of an audit. So I would hope you would choose people who have auditing experience, and actually anybody with auditing experience would probably expect to be paid. So there's that. Who decides the definition of CRT, and actually any of the definitions that you're going to use? What parameters will be used to decide the criteria of even choosing these people, let alone the criteria of what constitutes CRT in whatever it is that you're looking for? So I am a little blown away that it went from a vote about hiring professional people who do auditing for a living and shifted to, let's just push that onto the community of our friends, or I don't know, whoever we choose. That just seems like a very strange thing to do, very strange thing to do in the moment and to decide in the moment without any of these questions being answered. Very unprofessional. I'm very blown away. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams. Board, we're going to move to closing comments. Mrs. Bodie, we'll start with you.
First, I would like to remind one of the parents that spoke about the grade cards that we have. Currently, we are at 37.8%, improving at risk for K through third readers, K through third grade. There's only 37.8% who are on track versus out of 100. We also have only 57.5% of our students are prepared for success when they graduate, and the performance index is only a 70%. So I'm not quite sure where you got those statistics, but I would like to for you to email them to me, please, if you can. I would also like to state that just because something is part of life doesn't mean we should accept it. I would give reference to the 80s hairstyles. School shootings might have been less. There might have been less assaults if those parents might have been armed. They could have stopped it sooner. It's a possibility. And and I would like to remind everyone that we still are one nation under God. And our motto for the state of,
Folks,
guys,
please be respectful and let her finish her
and our
comments.
motto for the state of Ohio, with God, all things are possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bodie. Mrs. Schaefer.
Again, the Ready for Success one is one of my particular favorites in the report card. My daughter, who is now a biomedical engineer, who just is replacing 2 senior engineers who quit at her firm when she's only been there 2 years. She's at the leading manufacturer of medical devices, was not ready for success because she didn't take the SAT and ACT, and it required both to be taken in order to count her as being ready for success. So I think I'm glad we're not focused on minutia like that just for the purpose of a number, but we're actually focused on getting kids like my daughter incredibly well prepared to graduate from OSU as a biomedical engineer with a 4.0 GPA instead. Because I think she's incredibly prepared to succeed in her life and is doing so very well in her second move in independence. I would also like to say that I wish sometimes people could remember that this is all more than political theater, and that these are people's lives and future and what they've worked for their entire career, and there are families involved and people's kids involved, and it's more than just gaining points on a scorecard. And I think I will leave it there.
Thank you. Mrs. Casper.
Sorry, my allergies are a hot mess today. I think that the one point that I would like to make is that I am proud of the students and the champions that spoke today, and I don't understand why they have to be mutually exclusive. I don't understand why we think if we are highlighting other cultures, why we still can't love America. I don't understand the thought process that they're mutually exclusive. We can still be proud to be Americans and to love this country and be proud of the fact that 57 other countries came here because of who we are and what we have to offer. And I think Mr. ID says that best. It's not, one's not good or bad. And just because you support one doesn't mean you hate the other. I think we have got to stop thinking like that. It tears our children down, it tears our community apart, and it's ridiculous. You can be accepting of diversity and still love America. That is all.
Mr. ID.
I'm glad we are discussing this because this has been in the community for a while, and this was my concern. It's good that we accept diversity. It's good that we accept everybody, and that is why somebody like me can sit where I am sitting. However, we need to also be careful and mindful of politics. There are a lot of politicians trying to influence the school districts. That is why I said this. I don't think anybody is as political as me. I love politics. And I know I love who I am as a politician. I know what this country can give. I want this country to be what it used to be before I came. That is why I am still standing my ground, because there are rumors all over the places that some kids are told you cannot make it, all kinds of things that are taught in schools, but I have not found it in Lakota. I don't know. I don't know if it is here. That's why I don't want any kid to feel like I cannot make it because of where I was born or because of my race or whatever it is. That is why I'm an example. Any child, any teacher that tells a child that he cannot make it should look at me. So is it happening in the classes? I don't know. And that is why I love the school district. And I want to make sure we put this to bed. We're going to look internally about CRT, if there is in our school system, and get it out. Let's focus on students' achievement and let Lakota remain Lakota like it used to be. I have 3 graduates that I'm very proud of, very successful. They're doing very well because of this school district. And I think I owe it to this school district. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Zink?
I'd like to apologize to Ms. Bodie for saying her name wrong at the beginning of the meeting. Also, thank you to the board members for taking time to meet with me one-on-one so I could get to know you guys better. I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. Exec team, I appreciate humoring me while we went through a first draft of a 5-year forecast.
2 hours.
That was probably painful for everybody but myself. So again, I just want to thank everybody, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Zink. Mr. Miller?
Appreciate your work on that, even though it was a little lengthy. I think it was helpful for us. I just want to reflect on the kids from Woodland that were here and how great of a job they did, but also a shout out to Mrs. George for sort of leading that conversation discussion. The other thing that she did that I was impressed with is she wove in the other staff members and other teachers that were instrumental that weren't up there. So I know that Mrs. Oyoko is here, but she mentioned Jen Greer and she mentioned Mr. Wise, but there's some others who I know I'll forget, but Katie Woodruff and her husband too. So just I appreciate her approach to that. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Several thoughts, and I'll start very briefly with the statement that I shared from the board earlier. When we can have conversation, we will have conversation. At this point, there are other parameters we can't ignore. So when we can talk, we will. You know, one of the things that I was thinking about as we were talking about the student and the staff spotlight, the incubator program, and the colors at Woodland, those are driven by staff that have a passion about something or something that they really feel they want to encourage their students to learn or to understand. And that extra time and effort that goes into those programs, much of that is not paid time. That's just taking something they really feel is important and sharing it. And I value that. We see it across the district in many of our buildings and really value what they bring to the table for our students. Someone mentioned tonight the melting pot. And I was raised to believe that in my social studies classes and all the rest, that America is a melting pot. And one of the uniqueness and the values to being an American is that we have that exposure and that ability to welcome others to our shores and for them to succeed. Mr. Adi is a perfect example of that. Everyone has the ability to follow the American dream. And I still believe in the concept of the melting pot. So what our kids did tonight, what our Woodland students are doing, there is tremendous value to that, to helping our students understand respect at a very basic level for other people, for other cultures, for other religions, across the board. If we're still communicating respect and helping our students to understand that, and I feel like that's a really important part of our job. I will say to those that voiced some concerns about doing the curriculum audit, I just want to say on this topic, as on many others, there are competing opinions from across our community. And parents brought concerns forward about CRT. Other parents have said it's not here. We don't hear from just one side. We hear from many sides, and we have to weigh that and try to determine a way to address those issues for everybody involved. I don't think we ever come up with a perfect solution, but I do believe the intent is there to try to find a way to address the concerns within our community. On a personal level, I would be happy to stay afterwards and talk to anyone who feels that they were not heard tonight. And I believe other board members may do the same thing. And we'd be happy to have those conversations as long as it takes or as late as it takes. On that note, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Mr. Adi. Mr. Zink.
Ms. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Adi,
Yes.
Ms. Bodie,
Yes.
Ms. Casper,
Yes.
Ms. O'Connor.
Yes, thank you all for coming.